morning, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see on the board behind me, today is Monday, February 8th, and today we are going to take some time to practice identifying text structure. Over the last 7 classes, we have been learning all about text structure, and which is the way that authors put together their text or put together their writing. And so now that we're done learning about the 5 different text structures, we're going to have a day of practice where you guys, this is going to count as a classwork grade, but you're going to be reading passages, you're going to be using your notebook, and you are going to try to identify which text structure was used by the author. So let's scroll down here. In the blog, you can see the do now asks you to please write down tonight's homework. Now, there are several things written down here. Okay, first is to complete your text structure practice. That's number 1. Okay, then the second one is to make sure, this is for all the in-class students, make sure that you bring your Freak the Mighty book into school. I will be collecting them, and I will be giving you your copy of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which is the next book. Now, for everybody who is a completely virtual student, what I'm going to be asking is that over the summer, I mailed you those I mailed to you those copies of Freak the Mighty. We have a drop box in the front of the school, which is a place for you to drop off work. And it would be very helpful to me if you could take or ask your parents if you could bring those books to the drop box, drop those into that box simply with my name on it. You could just put Mr. Trumbull on it, and then that way that work will get to me and it'll get put back in my mailbox. All right. It can be very expensive to buy all those books, and so it would be very important for me to try to get all of those back. All right, so hopefully you guys could take just a moment to do that. And then I'm going to have to be looking at ways to get you guys copies of the next book, Harry Potter. So after I get my neck brace off and I'm back in school, I'll be looking for ways to mail those out to you. Keep your fingers crossed that I'm able to do that. All right, because that is the next novel we're going to read. All right, back to today and back to the text structure practice. All right, we are not adding any new notebook pages. Today's the first day in a while where we've not added a new notebook page. But you are going to be using your notebook. In fact, you're going to be using primarily notebook page 32 here on text structure, along with the examples of all of these text structures in order to do today's practice. So if I switch over here to my document camera, this page is going to be your primary page that you are going to use as you go through today's practice. But you're also going to be flipping back and through as you're looking and using all of these examples of the different text structures, all right, that we have learned about. Those are going to be very helpful to you. All right, remember, the notebook, it's not just intended to be a notebook that you do and then you set aside. It's really intended to be a tool for you to use with later learning. So back over here onto the blog, all right, we look at activity number 1. Now, through the video, this first activity, the review, would be very challenging for me to do, but it's still something that you guys could think about. All right, what we're going to be doing in class is we're going to be looking at a couple things. I'm going to give you some examples like this. And the question is, what text structure would you use if you wanted to write about each of the following? So, for example, if you wanted to write about, and I'm going to slide this over, campfires versus wildfires. If you wanted to write about those two, campfires versus wildfires, which text structure would you use? You can pause the video now, take a moment to think about it, and come up with an answer before I reveal the answer to you. Now, the answer would be compare and contrast, because here we see we have 2 different topics. We have campfires and we have wildfires. So if I wanted to write about campfires versus wildfires, I would use the compare and contrast text structure where I wrote about the similarities and the differences. The second one to think about is if I wanted to write about wildfires and the ways that we can prevent them. which text structure would you use? Pause me now and take a second and think about that. The answer to this one is problem and solution. Here we see the problem. The problem is wildfires, and the solutions would be the ways that we can prevent them. So for the ways that we would prevent them, this would be the solution part, and here would be the problem. So I would describe the problem of wildfires, and then I would describe the solutions or the ways that we can prevent them. So here I would use problem and solution. The third example here says, a time that I got burned by a fire and had to go to the hospital. Now think about this one. What kind of a text structure would you use if you wanted to write about that? Pause the video now, think about your answer, and then continue. Hopefully you came up with the text structure of cause and effect. This would be the cause. The cause would be I got burned. What is the effect? I had to go to the hospital. So this would be the cause and effect text structure. The fourth example here simply says campfires. If I wanted to write about campfires, which text structure would I use? Pause the video, think about your answer, and then continue. Okay, the correct answer here would be description. This is where I would use the description text structure. I have one topic. The topic is campfires, and I would give lots of details about this one topic of campfires. The last example says, a time that I built a campfire. Pause me and think about which text structure would you use for this example. The correct answer here is order and sequence. Building a campfire is a process. I would be teaching you how to do it. So this is where I would be using the order and sequence. First you do this, then this, next I did this, and so on. I have another set of examples that you guys can consider here. All right, and very similar, you can look. There's 5 different examples for you to think about. All right, and so if you needed to write about snowboarding, which text structure would you use? Again, you guys can pause me if you want to, or you can just listen as I talk you through these. But if I wanted to just write about snowboarding, this is one topic, and I would use the description text structure, where the topic would be snowboarding, and I would give lots of details about snowboarding. Okay. The time I went snowboarding at Holiday Valley. All right. This is one where I would use order and sequence. Just like in our notebook, there was the time that the person got a puppy. All right. This is a time that I went snowboarding at Holiday Valley, so it would be first this, second this, third this, and I'd almost be telling like a narrative story. So I'd be using order and sequence to tell this story. The third example is snowboarding versus skiing. Right away, you should catch this, that there are 2 topics, snowboarding and skiing. Here, I would use the compare and contrast text structure. So I would talk about how these 2 things are alike and how they are different. The fourth example says, a lack of snow during the winter and the use of snow-making machines. Now, if you are in ski club or if you're a snowboarder or a skier, you know that you can't go snowboarding or skiing without snow. So many big mountains like Toggenburg, Song Mountain, they will make their own snow, and they will use these snow machines to make their own snow. So there's a problem here. The problem is there's a lack of snow, and if there's a lack of snow, these places can't open. So what is the solution? The solution is that they make their own snow using these snow-making machines. So here's an example of where I would use the problem and solution text structure. The problem is that lack of snow, and the solution is we'll make our own snow. And that leaves this last example. The time I broke my snowboard doing a 360 backflip, and what happened as a result. There's a big clue word right there, result. This is an example of the cause and effect text structure. I would use cause and effect. The cause is that I broke my snowboard. what's the effect, the result here. All right, these are just some thought activities for us to do together in class. It's a little more challenging for us to do them here in the video because you guys aren't able to respond to me directly. But they're definitely something to think about. So if you took the time to pause me after each one and to really kind of think about them, you're on your way to being able to really do your practice and to do it well. Let's turn our attention now to the practice that you're going to do today. All right. Now, first, you do have paper copies of these in your ELA folder. So if you were to open up your ELA folder, okay, you would find that these text structure practice sheets are right here in your folder. There's actually 2 sheets, okay, together. Unfortunately, yeah, one of the sheets is missing 2 of the passages. So here is one of the practice pages, and then here is another one of the practice pages. But this page, it's missing 2 of the passages on the back. So again, my apologies for you for the way that those got copied. But you do have paper copies of these, all right? So I'm going to take them out of my ELA packet, and I'm going to keep them out as I do today's practice. They could be there to help me. And now I'm left with this. This is what's left in my packet. I'm just left down to, I think there are just 2 sheets left in my Unit 2 packet, and then I'm done with Unit 2. All right, we're going to set my ELA folder aside, and we will get into the assignment, your actual practice now. All right, you will complete this practice, as you can see by the directions, on Google Classroom, and you were given paper copies which might help you to annotate each passage so you can better understand it. Okay, here are the directions. Read each passage. Use your knowledge of text structure along with your notebook to determine what text structure was used to craft each. Pick the text structure used to organize the passage. You can underline, you can annotate the paper copy of the passage to help you, okay? All right, and again, I left you guys copies of the paper copies right here on the blog. But let's turn over to Google Classroom so you guys can see where the assignment is. So here you can see I'm on the stream, and by now you guys know, go to the Classwork tab to get to your work. So I click on the Classwork tab, and here we have our Unit 2 assignments. The next assignment you should see is this one here. It says Text Structure Practice. You'll click on this and you'll see the directions right there. Tell you to read each passage. Then select the text structure used to organize the information in the passage. Simply open it up. It's very similar to a quiz. This will count though just as a classwork grade because that's what it is. This is practice. All right. So there are a total of 10 passages on this practice. All right. You would read the passage, and then you would simply pick which text structure is used. Was it description text structure, compare and contrast, order and sequence, problem and solution, or cause and effect? Now, the first 5 passages go together, okay? And you will use each text structure just once for the first 5. All right, so here's one. And these ones here, this is about chimpanzees. This is chimpanzees and humans. This is about chimps. Again, most of these first 5 passages are all about chimpanzees. And so again, you see there's that common topic is chimpanzees. All right, and so you'll have to read each passage and determine which text structure was used. The second set of passages, passages 6 through 10, are all about crocodiles and alligators, all right? And you'll have to read these passages and determine which text structure is used for these, all right? So, simply do your best on these. Remember and keep in mind this is practice, so take your time on it. There is no rush. All right. Again, carefully read each passage. I can do the first one with you here to get you guys started, and then you guys will be able to do the other 9 on your own. So what I would do is I would read the passage first. It It says, wild chimpanzees are rapidly disappearing. Some people are trying to solve this problem. Otherwise, chimpanzees may one day exist only in zoos. People are trying to save the rainforests and woodlands where the chimps live from being cut down. It will take many people working together to solve this problem. All right, so now I need to take the time to analyze this passage. All right. So one of the things that I'm going to do right away is I'm going to eliminate the compare and contrast. I know that we are not comparing and contrasting anything right here. I only have one topic. The topic is wild chimpanzees. So I'm automatically going to eliminate compare and contrast. All right. Now, I'm also going to eliminate description. All right. This is not just giving me a bunch of information about chimpanzees. All right, so I'm going to eliminate description next. Third thing I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate order and sequence. Okay, there's no clue words. This is not a sequence of events, so I don't get a first and a second and a next. And so that leaves me with problem and solution and cause and effect. All right, and both problem and solution and cause and effect, in both of these, there's a problem. All right. Now, with problem and solution, a problem is stated and solutions are given. With cause and effect, we're given the causes for a problem, and then we're given the effects of what happens when this problem occurs. Now, as I read this passage, I see that the problem is wild chimpanzees are rapidly disappearing. That's the problem. No place does the passage go in and give me what's causing these chimpanzees to disappear. Okay? It just comes out and it states what the problem is. The problem is that chimpanzees are disappearing. Right here in the second sentence, it says, some people are trying to solve this problem. This is a big clue that this is probably problem and solution. Okay? Later on in the passage, it says, it will take many people working together to solve this problem. And it does give us a solution. It says that people are trying to save the rainforests and woodlands where the chimps live from being cut down. So I know what the problem is, and I know what the solution is. We have to save the rainforests. Okay? I don't know what's causing the chimps to disappear. I don't know what the effects would be. But I do know what the problem is, and I do see there's a solution there. So our best guess here, this is a problem and solution text structure. Once I've done this one, I'd be able to go right on in and go on to the second passage. Please notice the amount of time I took on this one passage. All right, as I'm doing these for you, I don't want you to think, hey, Mr. Trumbull's just giving me the answer. What I'm doing is I'm modeling for you the way to think about this passage and the way to really get the most out of your practice. Okay, so please take your time. Really be a critical thinker as you're going through this activity. All right, and again, especially important because tomorrow you're going to be doing another activity like this, but it's actually going to be counting as a quiz grade. All right, so I wish you luck. Do your best when you are done. Make sure that you hit submit at the bottom, but make sure that you've checked all your answers and that you've done absolutely the best work that you can. Okay, good luck on this, guys. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye-bye.